Welcome back. We're glad to see you wherever you might be. This, of course, is the Can Report, and I am Bill Beck. Think of me as your partner on the ambulance ride of fun. Today we sit down with J.D. Yoder Williams and discuss the complications this career brings to you when you're a single parent. What I want you to listen to throughout this episode is how J.D. has transformed the traditional concept of family support into a wider spectrum, showing just how supportive our work family can be. Anyway, I hope you keep challenging your own perspective of family throughout this interview. Here's J.D. JD is a firefighter, paramedic with Waterloo Fire Rescue. JD, thanks for stopping in.
Thanks for having me, Chief.
Tell me a little bit about yourself.
39-year-old single dad, firefighter, and gearhead, I guess. Pretty much sums it all up.
Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in Cedar Falls. I had a lot of friends in Waterloo, though. I spent most of my time in Waterloo.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, one of my childhood friends' dad was a lieutenant. Waterloo Fire, he's retired now, Dean Wilbur, Dean.
Yep.
And that's where the love started, really. Spending the night at Craig's house, his mom said, hey, we got to take your dad. I didn't even know what he did until that day. But his mom said, hey, we got to take your dad something to work. You guys want to go with us? We were bored. We said, sure. That journey led me to a fire station, and that's what the spark for the flame that burns.
How old do you think you were?
Remember when PALS got shut down? And we were trying to keep it alive with volunteers.
Yeah.
Volunteers were still going to schools without funding, trying to keep the program going. I changed my age for that story all the time for PALS, but I was about 10, I think.
Yeah.
10 years old, and we just took a bowl of leftovers or something. Well, that was my first exposure to fire trucks and firefighters and the life that we lead now.
Right. And what a great example of Dean Wilbur.
Right.
I mean, it's it's unfairly stated, but a Ned Flanders-y type.
Yeah.
Where he's just the nicest guy. He's always got a great attitude, super intelligent, very competent in his job.
Yeah. And the amount of empathy that he has is exemplary, too.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah, he was always the guy growing up that the friends would go to with stuff. If you couldn't go to your own parents, you went to Dean Wilbur for sure.
Awesome. Well, I didn't know that about Dean.
Yeah.
Very good. So you grew up there, went to Cedar Falls High?
Yep. Graduated 2001 from Cedar Falls High School.
What'd you do after that?
Joined the military right after high school. I stayed home for the summer. I actually went to boot camp September 11th, 2001. Mm-hmm. So it's a day nobody can really forget.
Right.
Extra memorable for me, though, because that was my first day of boot camp. I did 4 years in the Navy and then got out and started the pursuit. Actually, the reason I went in the military at all, my grandfather was in both the Navy and the Marine Corps. He didn't want me to be in the military. He was in during World War II, so for obvious reasons, he didn't want me to join. Mm-hmm. But Dean Wilbur told me that, hey, if you get some life experience, get some age under your belt, nobody really gets hired at 18. I mean, there's a couple exceptions, but
right.
You get some life experience, get 5 extra points for our test, our hiring test, and be more marketable. And so the goal, literally, from when I was 10 years old, was to be a Waterloo fireman because of the exposure I had through Dean Wilbur. Yeah. And so I did it. Got out. Actually enjoyed my job in the Navy. They kind of took it away from me. So I got out and went back to Plan A.
Mm-hmm. You were on a ship?
No, I was in a helicopter squadron. So, yeah, I was on a ship, but I wasn't assigned to that ship. Mm-hmm. So the way the Navy works for helos, I guess for fixed wing too, but have all these squadrons with different helicopters and different missions. When a ship is going to deploy, they say, hey, we need 2 of you, we need 5 of you or whatever. And so you get assigned to the ship and deploy with them. When you get back, you go back to your squadron. Mm-hmm. So I did 3 tours on 3 different ships for the same squadron. And then they told me I was obsolete. So
where did you go out to when you're out on?
My first deployment, we were actually going to Operation Enduring Freedom, but halfway there, they decided to start Iraqi Freedom, so we got direct towards Operation Iraqi Freedom. And that's where all 3 of my tours were for that. Enduring Freedom and Iraqi Freedom were going on at the same time. It just so happened that my squadron was more needed there, so that was our mission.
You were stationed out of San Diego?
San Diego, yeah. Helicopter Combat Support Squadron 11, which doesn't even exist anymore. That's how old I am.
Well, don't lay off the getting old business because I'm 10 years older. So
Yeah, but you don't look it.
I like to think age is something that immaturity really can't touch.
And just for the record, he's not my battalion chief, so I'm not.
I like to think of myself as the People's Battalion Chief.
Yeah, the people's.
There you go.
You're good at it.
You also became a paramedic.
I did.
You did that on your own dime.
Also, Dean Wilbur's suggestion. Oh, actually, it was probably more Goose. But when I got out, I needed a job. Obviously, I'm not getting paid from the Navy anymore. The first job I could find was carrying refrigerators for Best Buy, installing appliances. And I met another fireman there, Rick Giese, who really took me under his wing. I probably wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. Solid advice. And it was a hard road. Back when I tested, there's 300 guys trying to get on for 10 slots. It's not like that anymore, but back then it was really tough, and I almost gave up. I was like, I'm good at the military, I'm good at fighting, let me just go back to that, because I obviously can't get this done. And he wouldn't let me quit. So he said, get your paramedic. It was not something I was super interested in, but make myself marketable. I ended up enjoying it, doing it with you on 31, and it's just something I said never had an interest in, but found out I actually kind of enjoyed it.
Honestly, I think for whatever school teaches paramedic school that you go to, whether it be Kirkwood or Hawkeye or wherever you're listening, where they teach that, they need to write that on the freaking wall. Look, you probably didn't want to do this, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's worth it. And when you look back at it, you'll appreciate it. Yeah,
there's no doubt you got to put in effort,
Yeah.
And I think that's the hurdle a lot of people can't get over, is that, man, this is really hard, and I don't even really want it. Why am I doing it,
Yeah.
So if you can get over that hurdle of like, I don't really want to do this, it's really hard, make yourself do it, which is what I did. And you get over that hump, and you put in the effort to be halfway good at it. I mean, it's community college when you cut it down, but
Right.
if you're halfway good at it, it can be enjoyable and rewarding. You're not going to get a lot of thank yous, but the camaraderie you build with guys on calls, when you do a good job and things work out, you can't really find that anywhere else. It's a pretty big bonus.
Yep. Yeah, I don't think you can put wording to the importance of the camaraderie you get with a good partner.
Right.
And you can get on both sides of it. You can get that camaraderie on the, hey, do you think this cuticle looks infected? Should I go to the ER? Yeah. You get it from that, and then you get it from the imminent childbirth and baby codes that you'll get as well.
Right.
Completely different spectrums.
Right. It's beating nonetheless, though, right?
Right.
It's either an emotional one, or I guess they're both emotional beatings, but a different type of emotional beating. And I think the brotherhood, the bond that's formed in those stressful situations, whether it's ridiculous, or truly an emergent situation that you have to adapt and overcome. How else would you form a bond like that? Somebody who's fighting right next to you through the same things.
Right.
So, yeah, that's why one of the things that drew me so much to firefighting was that brotherhood, of that bond that's formed on scene and in the station.
Absolutely. What else draws you? What else makes you want to go up and get up and go to work every third day? What's one of the things you always look forward to?
All of it. I mean, I love slaying the dragon. I mean, there's some. So I have a friend that was a Navy SEAL. He's retired now. But when I told him when I got out that I was going to try and be a firefighter, he's like, man, there's something wrong with you. It's like, it's a Navy SEAL. It goes through, who knows what they really go through. I mean, we see movies and read books, but the toll it has to take on them. He's telling me I'm crazy because I want to fight a little fire in a house, you know? And I think all of us are a little bit like that. We don't really see the true danger, or maybe we don't care a little bit too. The fighting fire really draws me in. The brotherhood, like I said, and also the schedule. Once I got over the hurdle, what we're here to talk about today, being a single dad, of figuring out what I'm going to do every third day with my kids, because daycares run till 5, right? We run till 8 a.m. Once I got over that hurdle, having 2 uninterrupted days with my kids all the time, seeing them form into the adults that they're forming into now, is huge. It's a huge draw. And we talk about it all the time, like on shift. Can never do a 9 to 5 again, or guys that go to days, or take the training officer job, or I couldn't do it.
No.
I like when you're assigned to the busiest ambulance in the state, the first day off's a little rough when you're raising toddlers. But when you get a little bit older, you start tailboarding at the sub house, and you're not on the busiest ambulance every night, and you have a little bit of rest. The memories that I've made on my days off make the day I'm at work even better.
Absolutely.
If that makes
So
sense.
how many years do you have on the fire department?
We'll be 13 this coming May.
13. How many kids do you have?
2.
And how old are they?
10, 11.
So when you started with Waterloo, you were single, no kids.
Right.
Within a couple of years, that's changed.
I got kids.
Yep.
And then a couple of years after that, I'm raising them by myself.
Right. So how do you deal with those types of just the day to day? Where do they go at night? Where are they sleeping?
That's evolved drastically over the course of their life. A lot of help from grandparents, and then obviously the other parent, sometimes. But also the brothers at the fire department. Like countless times I've had to lean on guys that we work with to help me. And I don't think that would happen in any other career field either. Like imagine working at Best Buy even and asking the chick that runs customer service, hey, will you take my kids this weekend? Like, first of all, nobody's that close as we are at work, and second of all, do you trust that person? Like, we have to trust each other to have your kids.
Absolutely. That's a great point, that it's a two-way street. Not only I would feel comfortable with you watching my kids, but you would want to.
Right.
If I'm working construction, someone asked me to watch their kids for the weekend, I'm like, go pound sand.
Right.
I'm not doing that.
Yeah, and I've instilled in my kids since they talk. You have 107 uncles,
Absolutely.
and that's how they approach. You've met my kids several times. That's how they approach you. You're family to them instantly because you wear that badge.
Well, I thought it was because I always gave them candy.
That helps too.
Yeah.
Candy and Mountain Dew. Appreciate that.
Well, I'm not going to give them candy and they don't get to wash it down, JD. I'm not an animal.
Yeah. Appreciate you.
Yeah.
And they, I don't. It's been huge, the support that I've gotten from this department. And to be honest with you, I don't know if I could have done it, even if I was a 9 to 5 and I only had to get daycare, to go to 9 to 5 and come home and be a dad every night. I still the circle that's around me at Waterloo Fire got me through some really tough times being a single dad. So, yeah. It afforded me the possibility to do it, and it also got me through it too, I guess, is the only way I can put it.
Right. When we look at the talking about the rough times, obviously you weren't single when you had the kids.
Right.
And you had times with their mom.
Right.
That ends, and the fire department didn't issue a wife and family.
Right.
They don't care.
Right.
About. We do. We don't. We need you to be at work. We need you to give 100%, and we need you to be absolutely laser focused on the job.
Right.
How does a person do that when 2 out of the 3 days everything is changing, and you can hopefully look back now and see that they're changing for the better.
Oh yeah.
But they're not changing for the better when you're in the middle of it.
Correct. Yeah, and I think that also. Once again, a way the department helped me. There was obviously my story's a little unique because usually the other half of the party doesn't leave so dramatically and just disappear. So I was literally on my own. But like guys obviously have been through divorce on the job. Guys have obviously gone through custody battles. Guys, no matter what hardship you faced, somebody has had a taste of it. And you can lean on them. Like Mike Kemming was huge for me. Rest in peace, Mike. With the divorce aspect, as well as Bill Harder. I mean, when that first happened, I remember Bill Harder found out he was acting battalion chief, and he was writing the schedule, and he had me come down and drive him. And for 4 hours, we drove around, and he just basically talked me off a ledge. Because I was, like you said, it was hard, and you have to overcome it. I didn't do it very well for a while, It's a huge shock. I've never done it before, all new ground. But guys on the department that have been through similar things, zero hesitation to give me advice or to help. Or, other wives taking the girls, helping the girls choose a haircut, helping them pick out clothes. I don't know anything about style. I've had these pair of jeans for 10 years. You know? I don't buy clothes. I'm not interested in it. But my oldest is, and we've got people that we can lean on, you know, to help her with that interest, because I'm useless when it comes to style and
that's a great point along the lines of it's not just that brotherhood. It's you get the whole family.
Right.
You know, perfect example, we'll have the blood drive coming up in a few weeks. And the woman that I did the blood drive interview with, Judy, was like, oh, sometimes, you know, the firefighter wives bring treats. I'm like, we're on it now.
Yeah,
so
all it takes is a Facebook post.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep. And they've got they've got a complete list of who's bringing what at what time. And they're, I mean, let's just say it the way it is. Oftentimes our spouses and significant others are better organized than we are. We get to wear the same clothes every third day. Right. We do basically the same things every day. We eat, I know in my case anyway, I eat 3 times the caloric intake I do a normal day. And I probably talk more at work than I do at home, not just in a official capacity, but just it's a clubhouse a little bit.
Right.
And we can't lose that ever. But it's that concept of we're all encompassing. You know, I mentioned a bit ago that the department didn't issue a wife and kids or a spouse and kids, but we certainly benefit from them.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And I benefit from other people's spouses as well because I'm part of the department, I guess. Thank you for sharing your wife.
Yeah. It's going to sound weird on the podcast. Trust me, it's on the up and up.
Yeah, that's right.
What do the girls think of the fire department?
I think they love it just because, you know, they're involved in all the fun stuff. You know, we got the picnic and just the get-togethers we have, and they know if we're hanging out with uncles that we're having fun. So I think that's all they really understand of it now. I don't know if they'll be more inquisitive about what we actually do or what it actually takes to do the job. Aiden, my youngest, has brought up at different parts of her growing up that she would like to be a firefighter as well, but that's always gone away. Veterinarian's taking the lead right now. She wants to be a veterinarian.
Well, that's good too.
But yeah, to them it's just it's the club, really. They're a part of an exclusive club that they see people want to be a part of. You know, Aiden will say, "Your dad's a firefighter," or kids will approach her like, "Whoa, that's cool. Can we see a fire truck?" type stuff. So they feel like they're an exclusive club. And they really enjoy that. And then also the love they get from all of you guys, you know, that's huge too. Like, they're getting to the age now where it's not cool to be friendly with your dad, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's a whole new set of challenges recently. But all I have to do is expose them to, you know, like call John and be like, "Hey, you know, having a rough day." My buddy John, who's on the department. Or take them to a get-together or whatever. But yeah, as far as I'm long-winded today, sorry.
Yeah, that's what we're here for. Sorry for being exactly what you need.
No, to them it's just an exclusive club that they're proud to be a part of, and they enjoy their uncles.
So they turn 18 and say, "Dad, I'm serious, I want to be a firefighter."
I'm gonna probably give them the same guidance Dean gave me. It's like, maybe you could get hired right now, but you're not ready. It's hard to talk about the really crummy calls that we have to deal with, or the really crummy people we have to deal with. So I don't share a lot of that with them. But I know they won't be ready to deal with that at 18. So even if they do well on the test and they do well their first few years, it might ruin the latter parts of their life. They're not mature enough to. I don't feel that they'll be mature enough to process the stuff they need to process to make this a career, if that makes sense.
This career is a marathon, not a sprint, and
100%.
we do a crummy job of thinking of it that way, especially our first 5-6 years. Those years that if you're going to be a paramedic, you're probably going to be a paramedic in those years. How to deal with those types of things. So yeah, you know, thinking about that concept of having that life experience to be able to deal with the things that we deal with. Do you feel, so you were a Navy veteran. Do you feel that you were really ready for what you experienced when you came to Waterloo Fire?
Yeah. When I finally got the job after 6 years of plugging away, I was biting or itching to do it. I wanted all of it. I think the experience I had in the Navy with 3 deployments, that was kind of trial by fire, And I succeeded there. I made a lot of rank really fast. If you can consider that success, I guess maybe a lot of guys that worked for me in the Navy would probably consider it luck. Not a whole lot of respect when you get promoted, faster than guys that have been there twice as long as you. But the exposure on deployments to real world stuff, real world problems, can't do anything but help you in what we have to deal with here. It's we were just talking about this the other day too, at threes, when it's never like the high risk, low frequency calls that really get you. It's the really high frequency calls with really low risk that kind of burn you out. And I think that's where the age comes into play, the ability to tolerate and endure just the monotony, I guess. Like, how many times can you haul someone, the same person even, to the hospital because their toe hurts or their stomach is upset? That needs to come with age. That kind of tolerance you don't have at 18, So that's the advice I'm going to give them. I kind of hope, I think it'd be cool if both my girls took up the family crest on the fire department. But I'm not going to rush them into it because there's a lot of life to live, a lot of life to experience, not live, I guess. A lot of life to experience outside of this before you have the weight of what we have to deal with on your back. And once again, I don't want them to do it unless they're going to be successful in it. And it's not going to be that at 18, I don't think.
Yep. Don't do it because I did it.
Right.
You as
that's
a parent,
another thing too. Yeah. Don't just do it because you see me do it and I love it. You got to find your passion. And I feel like I'm fighting to be that guy, to support them in whatever route they choose to go. Even though I kind of want them to go my route. But yeah, I mean, that's day-to-day thing too. Like, I'm interested in anything that burns gasoline and goes fast. They have zero interest in any of that. Like, I could watch.
Listen, my nieces don't need to be riding around on no Harley. Okay.
All right. Fair enough.
Sedans.
Yep.
Front seats. Daytime.
Right. Not drifting in a 2-door rear-wheel drive. I've already had to do that with just their interest in hobbies. Like, they're super into soccer, and I can't stand soccer. Sorry if you're listening, girls. I hate soccer, but I still take them. I want to.
Hey, there's love to that, right? I coach my kids soccer, and everything I learned from soccer, everything I knew about soccer, I learned from watching hockey. Was my answer.
Fair enough.
But I love them. I don't necessarily love this sport.
Right.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. So it's good practice. So when they break my heart and tell me that they want to manage a clothing store or whatever their desires take them, I've already had practice in them letting me down with hobbies.
Well, I think I can give you a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, being that my youngest is going to be 21 this year, and in college, and none of my kids followed my footsteps of being a firefighter. And I know you know this already. You will be happy when they find a way to make a light in this world.
Right.
And that's what I've always told my kids is just make this place better. You don't have to be a firefighter to do it. My middle son, Colin, is an accountant. My oldest son, Tyler, is a mechanic. My daughter, Grace, is going to be a social worker. If that's where your passion is, you'll make this place you'll make the world a better world. I have no doubt about that. But don't be riding in the back of Harleys with sketchy-looking cats.
Yeah, tattoos all over.
What do you ride for, Harley?
2018 Road Glide Special.
Do you like it? Is it nice?
Yeah, grew up riding motorcycles. You're where you've known me for a long time. Never thought I'd own a Harley. JLP and I were just talking about this. Both of us started in the dirt, went to street bikes. San Diego was like the motorcycle mecca of the world. So whatever you want to do on 2 wheels, you can do it in a day, and you can do all of it in a day. You can ride through canyons, valleys, in the desert, just highway, long distance. Everything's long distance in California, but Yeah. I never pictured, I've gone 201 miles an hour on a motorcycle before.
Mm-hmm.
Harleys don't do that.
Right.
I never thought that I would get to this point. But here I am. I own a touring bike and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I put 5,000 miles on it already this year.
Nice.
Or this summer in the past, since April, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Put 5,000 miles on it. So,
What was your first bike?
it was a PB50. Is that right? It was a blue 50cc, 3-up, no clutch. I want to say PB50. Maybe that's not right. But all of them were loaners.
Yeah.
The first bike I actually purchased for myself was a Ninja ZX6R in San Diego. But I had an uncle and cousins that were into bikes, and when I got to ride, it was with them, and that was on my own. I didn't really know anybody that rode in the desert, but I knew a bunch of guys that had street bikes in San Diego, so I got one. And just transition from interest on two wheels. There was a point when I was riding in the dirt, like, why would guys ride on the street?
Uh-huh.
Who says on the department? Dirt is for racing, asphalt's how you get there.
Yeah.
Oh, that's how I was on motorcycles until I found the street, and then I was that way until I found touring bikes.
Yep.
So,
What appeals to you now about riding?
solitude.
Mm-hmm.
100% solitude. You're a motorcyclist. There's depths you can get in your own head when you're on two wheels going 55, even just 55.
Yeah.
Between stalks and stalks of corn, there's an amount of processing that you can do when you're on that bike. I have never been able to do anywhere else. So I think it started off with just the adrenaline dump, see how fast we can get this bike or how long we can ride this wheelie or whatever we're doing. But now it's just about the solitude and processing and trying to be a better me.
Mm-hmm. 100%. I recently bought a new bike, one that's much more comfortable to ride with my wife, and now we can go on some rides together. And that was always her question, like, what do you think about? I don't think about anything, yet I think about everything.
Right.
You have to focus on the road. You have to be in tune to that. But that's like the front of your brain.
Right.
The back of your brain is just allowed to do whatever it wants.
Correct.
And it's good ideas that seem great at one point, and then by the time you're into the ride, I'm like, did I seriously think that'd be a good idea?
Yeah. Usually about 200 miles in.
Yep.
What am I doing here? Yeah.
Well, why would I go 200 miles in a straight line? I got to go back.
Yep.
Yeah. But it's I think it's even made me a better just driver of a car.
Sure.
Just that being able to keep your eyes open, head on a swivel all the time. Do you find yourself looking into car vehicles to not only just see the vehicle that's coming at you when you're on your bike, but what that person's doing?
Oh, yeah. It's scary.
Yeah.
Sketchy.
Yeah, it's so much of looking down and they're looking at their phone. Yeah. I'm like, does this person see me?
I passed someone on the highway last week where it was probably 20-something gal. She had a Starbucks cup in one hand and her phone in the other, and she was looking at her phone going 75 down the interstate.
Yeah, scary.
What are they teaching these people?
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, a lot of that in emergency response too, I think.
Yeah.
You got to know to look for the eyes. If you don't see their eyes looking at you, then they don't see you.
Right.
No matter how loud the siren is or how bright the lights are, you got to look for eyeballs. So that's what I do on the bike. That's what I do driving my kids around. That's what I do in the fire truck. That's what you got to do.
Going back to our topic a little bit.
Okay.
How do you date as a firefighter?
Oh man.
We can stop the conversation now.
No, that's all right. That's something that took me a while to figure out as well. I got 2 girls, so being in my late 20s, having the career field we have, I guess is enticing to a certain selection of the opposite sex. So it was
Look, it doesn't help that you're sexy like you was.
Okay, I was maybe, not anymore. It was easy for me to get dates, I would say. Even just meeting single moms at the park. Like, oh, you're a single dad and you're taking your kids to the park? Wow, you're still a part of your kids' lives or whatever, which can be rare, I guess. But I didn't want to set that example. I didn't want them to see a revolving door of women. I didn't want them to be in that revolving door themselves when they're old enough to be. You know, I wanted to show them. Honor's not the right word.
Respect?
Yeah, maybe respect, but I didn't want to set a bad example, I guess, is what I'm saying. I didn't want that to be the norm for them. It's like a new girl, dad's with a new girl every week or whatever, so I didn't really. I got pretty sick for a while because I wasn't doing adult stuff. Like I had troubles with my health because of it for a little bit. But then you just kind of find the flow. I think you do like very casual stuff outside of the review, you know, until you see if there's a chance that it could be something more than just casual dating. And then, yeah, I don't know when that is or how I knew when that was, but, you know, they've only really met 2 of my girlfriends because I thought that that was going to be more than just girlfriends and that they were going to be a part of their life for longer. So it's like a balancing act. Like, me, you have to date to see if the person's worth being with, but I didn't want my girls to see me dating. So when then that dating progressed, I'm repeating myself now, sorry, progressed to a point that I felt comfortable introducing because I knew that there wasn't going to be a revolving door with that person or whatever, then I did it.
And how did they respond to meeting someone?
You know what? I think we keep going back to this, but I think the brotherhood helped with that as well because they're used to meeting new people. I mean, there's a lot of us, right?
Yeah.
And so I know there's firefighters they haven't met yet, but they know that it's their uncle, so they're all immediately, you know, welcoming and trustworthy. That's another hurdle you got to pass too. It's like teach my kids to be sociable or whatever, but that can get them in trouble in this day and age. You know, put them in scary situations. But they've approached the 2 girlfriends they met like that as well, welcoming and accepting. So,
good.
Yeah, they're rock stars, man. My kids are pretty awesome.
I know what kind of person you are because my oldest went through divorce. And he went through divorce. They had a little boy at the time. Well, they still have. I mean, it's Rem, right? He was struggling, and I'm a guy that married his high school sweetheart.
Right.
I don't have those life skills that I can, 1, talk to him about, but 2, talk to him about with a conviction of a guy that did it.
Right.
That means so much. You know, even if you don't necessarily think that through, those 2 things are what is going to make you understand someone. So I know I reached out to you to reach out to him, and I immediately saw a change because now he didn't feel alone. And I don't know how often you met, what you said to him, and I don't have to know those things. Right. I just know that you did it. You did it because you're a good person. You did it because we're brothers, and I will always be grateful for you for that. Now he's happily married. They have 3 kids. I don't care for any of them, but that's just me.
Liar.
Note, I say this on the day that Angie's not here. Yeah. So, yeah, they're awesome. And there's no manual on how to live this life. We have to figure it out as we go. And to have people to lean on, that's more than most, I guess.
Right. Yeah, like I said before, without the support network, it was paying it back for me, you know? As there's dudes that definitely rallied around me when I was in my darkest days on this department. And I'll be forever grateful to them. So the chance that you gave me, of course I'm going to jump all over that. Of course I'm going to perpetuate that cycle. Yeah, it's an honor that you came to me.
Well, it's to be said as well of when I asked you to come on the podcast, you said yes without knowing the subject. Yeah. And I'm like, well, the subject might be a little heavy.
Right.
He's like, well, you know me. I'm not a guy to say no.
Right.
And you're still not. And that's admirable because you're 39. I mean, you're a punk kid.
Right.
I mean, but you're a punk kid that's been a military veteran and you've been on an ambulance for over a decade.
Right.
You got me beat by twice. I'm not a military, and my ambulance time was 5 years. It's hard to hold your head up some days.
Sure
I know I got to the point of being I don't like to say crusty or burnt out because I wasn't there yet, but I saw it coming. Where are you at right now in regards to the ambulance life?
It's hard. I mean, I've had, they use me sparingly now. But I've had days where I really enjoyed it again. I was with a partner that didn't need a lot of guidance. Maybe we had some calls where we could make a difference. I mean, that's what we live for, right? To have a call where you affected the outcome in a good way. Obviously, it can go bad too, but when you have good outcomes and you saw your role in that, that's fuel, man. That keeps you going. But I've also had days that I'm on the burnout spectrum, like I can't do it. Man, I wish I would have done better on that driver's test, or why didn't they use this guy instead of me? I've been there. I've been there as well. So it's been a rough breakup, me and that ambulance.
Yeah.
It's been a rocky road. So there's some days that I want to ride it. Legitimately, I want to ride it. And then there's other days where it makes me nauseous to see it parked in the station. So
I feel fortunate that I got the chance that when I knew I was going to get promoted to battalion chief, and Battalion Chief Moore at the time decided to stick after a little bit longer because we needed help. COVID was just starting to hit. We had no idea how drastic it may or may not get. I at the time was a lieutenant on C shift. I said, "That's fine. If you stay in, I want to move to A shift and I want to ride everything. I want to ride with the guys. I want to get to know them."
That was awesome, by the way. Good move.
Thanks, but. I legitimately was excited to ride on the ambulances. Well, and part of it was one, it's like, this isn't forever.
Right.
And two, I'm not new. I know what to do, but it feels new again.
Right.
So for me, that was a great experience. I don't know if the guys I rode with for partners thought it was a great experience of, seriously, I got to ride with my next battalion chief. Does that seem fair, everyone? But it was great. I rode with great guys. And just that chance again that's the front line of being able to make a difference.
It was nostalgic for me. When I came on, you were Mo. And I was riding 31 with you. We always had fun.
Yeah. That was the big thing, was do your job right, but have fun when you're doing it.
Right. Yeah. It's a different world when you're with, a competent partner, and you can rely on them. And not only because you don't have to guide them, but I trusted you if I was going off the beaten path, or if I missed, the pitch, you were going to be right there to be like, it did, and you guide me back forward, right on track. So there's security in that as well. Absolutely. It's not just I'm the old crusty guy. I don't want to teach new guys how to do this job. There's also comfort in knowing that I make mistakes.
And I know when I was your battalion chief, I asked you to do that a couple times. There's a guy that was struggling, and you know what? He's done being handheld. Give him the crusty veteran talk.
Right.
And you did, and it helped. Yeah. I hope it helped. I think it helped. I haven't heard anything worse. So,
yeah.
Where do you think you are mental health wise right now? Are you in a good spot?
It's crazy right now because my girls are more and more independent every day. They got separate groups of friends. They've got other interests outside of me. I'm not their entire life anymore. So that's afforded me the opportunity to get that bike and put some miles on it, and kind of find myself again, because for 10 years they were my life. I worked to support us. I worked to support them. I worked to mold them to make sure they wanted for nothing, and that I was making valuable members of society. That was my only goal, was to not fail at raising my kids. And now they're kind of now I've got some breathing room, so I can start to find my identity again without, that being my only focus. And that comes with its own challenges. Sometimes I don't feel like they like me when just 3 short years ago they would say I was their best friend.
Yep.
And there's talking back now and eye rolling and it's hard, man. Yep. It's a hard pill to swallow when you were their everything and now you're just part of it. So I'm struggling with that right now. I'm struggling with I'm in a transitional period in my career, I think. I'm old and crusty on the ambulance, but also not on the driver's list or the lieutenant's list. I'm just kind of getting tossed around. And A lot of it's my own fault. I didn't do very well on the promotional exam, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm happy. I got healthy kids. I got a lot of stuff I like to do, surrounded by great people and great friends. But also, in this transitional phase,
Right.
in both aspects, home and work.
It's okay to be happy and still want more.
Right.
That took me a little bit of time to figure out as well. It's okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Did we miss anything you want to talk about?
No, I can't think.
What your favorite model of Ford truck is?
Yeah, I don't have one.
No. All right. Well,
The one that's in the junkyard. Just teasing you.
a lot of them are. That hurts because I have an old truck. That's
Say a
probably
late '70s Bronco. I would drive one of those.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, that's pretty solid.
That's about it.
We kid. He's a Chevy guy.
Yeah.
I used to be a Ford guy. I drive a Dodge now. Blah blah blah. They're all good trucks. I'm not a nerd like some people.
Right.
Yeah.
Get it.
Awesome. JD, appreciate you coming on and taking the time.
It's been an honor, Chief. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. JD has a great perspective on the importance of being in the right space between your ears as a medic. I don't think I'm telling tales out of school when I say JD started his paramedicine career with Waterloo, and everything was probably shiny and exciting. From there, he ran the entire slow burn that is a paramedic burnout. The average life expectancy of a fire medic is under 10 years, and that time continually shrinks nationwide. I know when I first started to see and feel the signs of my own burnout, it wasn't from all the ALS calls. It was from the cuticle cut at 3 a.m, or the frequent flyer that has no health care and feels a tickle in their throat. My belief is that those types of calls cause burnout in two distinct reasons. One, the cuticle call, is due to a waste of resources. These resources can be classified as the obvious stuff, like wear and tear on the ambulance, cost of fuel, yada yada yada. The other wasted resource is my time, my sleep, my education. The frequent flyer calls cause burnout to me because the constant ER visits isn't helping that patient, and we've made a promise to try and help. Normal people don't call the ambulance multiple times a day, week, or month like a frequent flyer may. Something most definitely is wrong with these people. The emergency healthcare system, which is underfunded, overworked, understaffed, just can't get them the non-medical help they need to get back on track. JD mentions a day where Bill Harder was with him. If you haven't listened to the Season 1 Episode 8 interview that I had with Bill, do it after this. Bill is just one example of a guy who's willing to share his experiences, reaching out to one another. I hassled JD about his Harley for two reasons. One, he was such an anti-cruiser bagger bike guy back in the day when I first started to meet him. And the second one is I recently bought an Indian. So, Indians and Harley guys are pretty similar. They dress like pirates. I think I'm supposed to dress like a cowboy. I haven't gotten the entire costume down yet. I'd like to thank JD for being on the show this week, as well as thank my producer Angie for behind-the-scenes pressing of all the right buttons, and Caleb Martin for the original music. If you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to The Can Report and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We are at The Can Report on Facebook and can_report on Instagram. We do still have a few Season 2 stickers left. Hit us up if you'd like one. You guys are our greatest advertisers. Until next time, I'm your host, Bill Beck, telling you to get out there and have your voice heard.